everyone, and welcome back to the greatest league in the world. It's time for VCT EMEA Stage 1. We are back in the Riot Games Arena here in sunny Berlin, Germany. I am your host, Yingsu, and on the desk today with me will be Kukuka and Billy. It feels so long ago since we had a kickoff. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, but I still have the same feeling that I have at the beginning of the year. I want to see what the teams have been up to and how they have updated their, their playstyle.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. We're going through so many changes before it gets to each stage now that it's like, what have these teams been cooking? Yeah, I'm so excited to get stuck in today and for Season 1 to start.
Now, before we move on, we need to address the elephant in the room and live in the past for just, a minute or two, because Masters Bangkok did take place a couple weeks ago. We didn't win, but we did okay.
That's one way to put it.
We did all right. We did all right, considered.
Do you mean all right for us?
No, we didn't do all right for us, but I think we should be proud of our performance.
Team Liquid beat Sentinel, so I think we have to take that.
13-1 on the last map? I think that's one of the headlights.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, and we think about the two teams that we're sending and we're speaking of, Vitality and Liquid. Vitality ended up 4th in the tournament, not a bad result whatsoever. And they ended up losing to G2 and T1 on the second time that they played against T1. Those two teams were on the final for that tournament. So it is a very good show, and then at least Vitality got that, got to scrap that point that maybe they will need at the end of the year to make champs.
Yeah, exactly. I think the fact that they managed to come away with a point is still great for them.
And the learnings.
Exactly.
And Bangkok was great.
That's a great point, actually, because they've had the experience of playing against different regions. Obviously, the other teams within our region haven't had that. So that's a big thing that they can take away from the experience.
Unfortunately, we didn't win, but let me bring you guys some W's to kick off Stage 1 here in EMEA. And welcome a familiar face back into the studio. It is Minnie. Hi, Minnie. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm excellent.
You're not disappointed by our performance in Bangkok, are you?
I'm horrified.
No, why would you say that? Okay, hopefully we can turn it around with a new map pool, because as you can see behind me, Abyss and Bind are out, Ascent and Icebox are in. What do you make of this?
I quite like it. I know Ascent and Icebox are maps that the community are a bit iffy about, a bit boring at times, but I'm really excited to see the new meta, with Teo especially, but also the deadlock changes for Ascent. Like, I've heard a lot of teams might be testing that one out.
Yeah? Surely you, of all people, like having Icebox back,
Icebox,
right?
yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah. Durka box.
Durka
Ascent,
box?
not so much. Not my best map, but
okay,
yeah.
We're calling it Durka box now. But how much does this nerf our current teams not having Abyss and
The Bind and Abyss, I think for Bind is Carmine Core I'm looking at. They were like 3-0, very comfortable in Bind. And then the Abyss, I think Team Liquid were the best Abyss team in the world, potentially. And I think these maps going for those two, maybe something they need to look at.
Well, hopefully they'll benefit from the new agent, because we do have a new duelist, of course. Waylay is available from today onwards, so teams are free to pick her if they want to. Now, talk me through the Waylay Mini, because when she was unveiled at Bangkok, a lot of the community felt like she was very overpowered.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that I'm a bit more measured about it. I think that I consider it like a Jet 2.0. But Yoru still exists, and like Neon and Raze are still around. So I think that teams that do utilize it well will be very strong with it. But I don't think anyone's worked out the defense yet. The attack side's about that kind of dashing in really deep. But defense, it feels like teams haven't quite figured it out. So
now, yeah, we've seen Waylay in other regions already. I know Jogamo's Waylay got everybody very excited. But talk me through what Waylay actually does.
Okay, so the main points about Waylay is the attack side, you're going to put that refract down, and then you dash in. And then if you get into any trouble whatsoever, you can hit that refract and then just dash back out. But the difference between that and the Jet is that you can go even deeper. So you can go into places that are really unexpected.
Have you tried Waylay yet?
No.
You've been on the set? No, the coach potatoes? No?
No, I haven't tried it yet, no. I mean, I tested it in the server, but I haven't played it. I'm not that confident.
I can't believe you don't have a... Do you have a Waylay in your stack? No.
No, we're old men. We're not good at agents like Waylay.
All right, you need to sign someone up to play Waylay in your stack, because I'm fully expecting some of the players in VCT EMEA to pick up Waylay. So I'm going to ask you this question right out off the bat, Minnie. Who is going to Wayslay?
Wayslay.
Yes.
Okay, the picks that I've got here, I'm going to start with that side.
Okay, Martin.
Martin. So for Carmine Core, I think Martin is not so much about Martin himself, but I really think Eng and Sadak are the kind of duo. Like they really understand micro, and I think with the Waylay you can surprise people, catch them off guard, and have those like combos around it. And I think Sadak and Eng are the kind of people who could cook with that. For Floor,
it's an obvious one.
It's just like, if I'm saying it's Jet 2.0, like Floor is a Jet. Like, she would play Jet on every single map, I think. But I think she really strives in that chaos that Waylay can provide. And for Mini Boo, It's a bit more of a negative tone. It's a bit more like his Jet and Yoru, I think, have been struggling a little bit, and Waylay could be a potential like shift or answer for that.
Who's going to waste-slay the hardest? Come on.
I mean, Flora will waste-slay the hardest.
Yes, I feel like she's already waste-slaying just, you know, in every other aspect. So I can't wait to see some of these players maybe pick up the Waylay. Thank you very much, Minnie, for your insight. For more on what you can expect this stage, here's a quick format explainer. Hi, VCT enjoyers. Here's a quick breakdown of what you can expect from Stage 1. Stage 1 kicks off with a high-stakes single round robin group stage, where teams will battle it out in 2 groups of 6, Group Alpha and Group Omega. The top 4 teams from each group will advance to the playoffs, where the competition only gets tougher. The playoffs will follow a double elimination style bracket, where teams' performance in the group stage determines their starting position. Number 1 seeds from each group earn a bye into round 2 of the upper bracket. Number 2 and 3 seeds will face off in the opening round. Number 4 seeds have no second chances. They start in the lower bracket and face elimination immediately, playing against the losers of the opening round. As the competition progresses, the final 8 teams will battle through a mix of best-of-3 series, escalating to best-of-5s in the lower final and grand final to determine the ultimate Stage 1 champion.
Look at his position!
This time, it's not just the top 2 teams advancing internationally. 3 teams will qualify for Toronto, raising the stakes even higher. We're also shaking things up in Stage 1 with a refreshed map pool. Bind and Abyss are out, Icebox and Ascent are back in. These maps will remain in play for the entirety of Stage 1. Stage 1 kicks off on Wednesday, March 26th, starting at 5 p.m. CET. The group stage will run for 5 weeks, with matches played across 3 days each week, culminating on April 25th. See you there! See you here, even, not there. But let's talk about these groups because we had the draw. There were some reactions. Do you two believe in the group of death, Billy? Is there a group of death here?
It is really difficult when you look at them, right? Because you look at Group A, and I have to feel bad for Apex in that group because they're facing relegation this year, and that's probably not where you wanted to start. But I think Group Omega, the one that I guess people are not as convinced by, I think you have to look at some of the dark horses in here, right? Team Liquid, they did an amazing run during kickoff, and I think even I gravitate towards Carmine Core and BBL, right? BBL came out of nowhere and surprised everyone. So I think if they can keep that momentum going into Stage 1, they could have a great job.
There's a couple good things going on here. For Koi, it could finally be a good year. It could finally be a time for make playoffs. I think that for names, as you were mentioning, like KC and BBL being able to make playoffs, again, I think that KC has a lot to prove throughout this year.
Yeah, we're going to kick off today with a doozy as well. Vitality, they're back. They're in the building. They're going to be taking on GX, and then BBL will be going up against KC. Are you guys excited to see Vitality after Bangkok?
I'm actually more excited to see BBL and KC.
Oh, there we go.
It's like I saw them not that long ago. I
Okay.
know some things are different, but you know, still same Vitality.
I think, we know what to expect from Vitality, right? But I think BBL and KC have to be the match of this week, if anything.
Yeah, let me catch you guys up because it has been 46 days since kickoff and a lot has changed. This is everything you missed on VCT EMEA Roster Mania. Hello, Governor. We have a new player after winning Ascension with Apex. Hype is out. Governor is in, and he is our first import from VCT Pacific. How fun. Fnatic have a new coach. Not new as in new, but new as in he's never been head coach before. They promote Milan from assistant. Got Eric, who sadly won't be joining them just yet. And Yoink Scud from BBL. BBL. Magnum is on BBL. He's back. Team Liquid, yes. The Team Liquid also made a change. It's goodbye, Kamek, and hello, Serial, who plays the exact same agents as Nats. Definitely don't see an issue there whatsoever. Don't worry, Kamek and Joris, he's gone to Gentlemates instead of whom? Robbie BK. Anyway, Team Vitality. I know who won VCT EMEA, came fourth at Masters Bangkok, has replaced Trex with Civo. He is French. And that is everything you missed on VCT EMEA Roster Mania. How exciting. Let's check in actually with Vitality's new player. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by and welcome you guys to a new face in VCT EMEA. Thank you so much for joining me, Civo. You're now on Team Vitality, which is such a crazy thing for you, you know, in your career so far. So tell me how this all happened. You know, when did they contact you, and why did you decide to join Vitality?
I think like I make a game like at 38 kill in EMEA, and that's why. Like and yeah, after like they contact me for some trial, like and I was excited because like Vitality is my dream team, Canada, and just we the prac make well, and yeah, I joined them.
And when it comes to you, a little bit about your career, would you be able to tell us about you? You know, maybe what agents you like to play, how long you've been playing Valorant for, and so on and so forth?
I play like since the beta, and I'm play like I'm a flex player, so I can play like the Breach, Kaio, Duelist, like yeah, Initiator and Duelist.
You love them all? You love all the agents?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really, that's a banger.
Oh wow! Oh, your teammates are gonna love you. Speaking of your teammates, it does seem like a big leap, you know, to go from playing tier 2 to playing with some of the best players we've ever had in Valorant. How are you feeling about that? How are they treating you? And do you feel that experience difference?
Yeah, I feel like a lot. I mean, in practice, like this, like so speed, like it's really like different from T2. And yeah, like I'm super like happy to play with this guy. I watch them every time and know I play with them. So yeah, I'm really happy and proud.
Is there any other players in this league that you're looking forward to maybe playing against? Someone else that you've been watching for a long time?
Fnatic.
Really? Why?
I don't know.
Because a lot of people kind of don't see them as the same team in 2023 anymore.
Yeah.
But for you, you're still excited to play against a team?
Yeah,
like
really.
that?
Yeah, that's a super good team. Like there's a lot player. I mean, good players. So yeah, excited to play them.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I cannot wait to see your debut on stage.
Thank you.
Nobody expected this. Come on, what happened?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. What
you want me to
happened?
go and ask Vitality exactly what
yeah.
happened? I mean, I assume that probably they had this conversation before Bangkok was even a thing. Well, to me, it's more about discussing the solution, right? To what issue also, and thinking about the roles and how it's going to Vitality look right now. Because he was telling you himself about how he has the flexibility to play on the flashes. He also has a duelist, but Vitality really they already have all of that.
This is the thing. Like I get worried when I see a tier 2 player coming in to play tier 1 and he talks about his flexibility, but then only mentions flashes and duelists, which of course Vitality have two very good people that can fulfill those roles. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried that he's kind of coming in and having to fit into these other roles and flex around the rest of the team. But given that, he had a great performance against Focus and Challengers, like playing under mandatory. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on in tier 1.
Yeah, exactly. But again, thinking also what Trex brought to the team, all the different roles that he played, the Brimstone, the Vice, and then also the Fade, the Sova. There's many questions, but we will find some answers finally today.
We will, and I would love to find some answers on the side of Giant X as well. They didn't make any roster changes, but they've had time. Kuka, they've had time. They did not go to Bangkok, and I want to see what they've been cooking.
And I was so excited to see this roster at the beginning of the year because I think that it has truly full potential. And I think that for a team like Giant X, after the expectations were set, and knowing that they are in the group that they are, this is probably the best week to play against Vitality. You have a new map pool coming in that Pipson has loved in the past, that Icebox, that Ascent, those kind of maps. No big changes have been added. Yes, I think that the question to me is more on what the meta is going to look like for them.
I'm glad you mentioned meta because Pipson told us a little bit what he thought of the meta. He said here, I think that this is the meta where you have to disrespect some things individually to be able to be successful. What do you make of this, Billy?
I think this is crazy because obviously we didn't see a Tejo at all come out from Giant X during kickoff, and now I'm thinking we're not going to see a Whaley at all either. So they're obviously very set in their approach, which is fine, but we just need to see that actually come to fruition.
I do not mind if they do not stick or they do not navigate the same meta that we saw in Bangkok and that we kind of expect. The Breach, the Tejo that you're mentioning, they did play the Vice. It doesn't matter to me as long as he's been able to teach them that. If you are not following the meta, but you found a solution to make it work in your way, welcome be it, you know, like so be it.
I mean, this is kind of what he said at kickoff too, right, Billy? And we saw no Tejo.
I think so. I think if they're able to push their play style into this region as much as they can, then that's how they will find success.
Well, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. The drought is over. It's time to kick off stage 1 of VCT EMEA.
single game consists of 1,000 choices. In the blink of an eye, one call separates triumph from defeat. Can you take the spotlight? Will you stay in the dark? Time may run out, but your decisions echo far beyond. For better or worse.
Audacity or restraint. Ego or team. Sacrifice or save. Aim. Sense. Chaos or control.
Make the call.
Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch on that top notch on the block. Shouldn't slide like me, nah. Spice it up with a sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it. I said bop, bop, bop. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it. I said bop. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it. I said really I can't keep up. Play for a little Lita, big queso. I'm born with the ether, but I still took a heater. No halo, I've been with a handgun. I've been on my King Kong, on payload. I've been on. What? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch on that top notch on the block. Shouldn't slide like me, nah. Spice it up with a sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it. I said what? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch on that top notch on the block. Shouldn't slide like me, nah. Chill it with the sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it. I said what?
It is the reigning champions of EMEA stepping back onto the stage, fresh from the global event, going up against a Giant X that have had a lot of time to fix things, to get better, and this is a very important map, Veto.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Icebox is going to be instantly banned by Giant X. Our first map is going to be split then into Lotus. I'm surprised that this is not going the other way around, because I remember... Oh, yeah, never mind, yeah. I read it wrong.
Pipson banning Icebox? Is this allowed?
I think that maybe
okay?
it's because of the meta is still not being established and them already struggling enough maybe throughout kickoff. But I was also very surprised to see Purple with his new haircut. It looks pretty good. Just in case you saw someone and you didn't recognize or you were missing some white hair, looks good on him.
Yeah, I think you make a good point of, like, you know, Icebox, like maybe choosing to not play it, because I think even though maps are coming back into the pool, we need to consider all the different agent compositions that you can play. Like they're so diverse now, right? So maybe they're just not fully comfortable on what they want to see what others are playing first, right? So that they can set those expectations, I think.
They were one of the teams I was actually really excited about for Icebox. I'm sad. But let's talk about let's talk about the maps we will see here. We didn't see GX that much at all, so it's even a little bit difficult to read into what they can bring, which is why I think that is incredibly exciting.
I think that we will see surprises no matter what. As you were mentioning, Sue, Giant X did play this map. They did it with the Vice and the double controller, Sky and Raze. We've seen that. We also have seen it in Game Changers, for that matter. And I think that there's very big learning points, especially I'd see them leaning maybe towards something that Pipson did in the past, also using that double duelist, really.
Yeah, potentially. I think they have players that would be able to jump onto that. And I think as well, like, the big question was they were running the Sky on the split as well, right? Which we were confused by. But listen, do you know what? Going from no Teho at all in kickoff to jumping in,
I love this. Amazing. Also, Civo going on the Omen. He does not have experience as a controller. He has only played controller 3 times in his life.
Yes.
Twice Harbored last year, no, 2023 on like Pearl. And he played like 1 Omen in 2021 when we were still doing like qualifiers, everything pre-franchise. And so maybe this is one of the solutions that Team Vitality has found, moving him into the roster.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to make. Civo, we did not expect to jump onto that controller, as you say, with the few times that he's played it, but I have to gravitate towards Giant X. You know, having Purple on that Yoru, who wasn't having great time on the other duelist in kickoff, and I think as well, Cloud on that Tejo will be really interesting to see.
Pipson, you cheeky devil. We don't want to do the meta stuff. They do the meta stuff right off the bat.
Converted.
But it's time to jump into this game and throw this over to your casters. Show them some love. Here's Mitchman and Tombiz.
Thank you so much, folks. Yes, we've got a beautiful game lined up for you here today. Vitality and GX. Civo coming in on the Vitality roster as well. Going to be put to the test down on that stage.
Yeah, he's been pretty mean in the past when we saw him playing in EMEA challenges. He had some crazy matches. I think it was a 38 kill breach game, but they've actually gone and playing the smokes. So it's definitely a little bit of a role switch from what he's been playing recently, but I think that was the reason he's in this roster, flexibility.
Yes.
Now on the other side of things, I think GX were even posting about it, how many sort of pracs they've had, how much work they've been putting in behind the scenes. This really is the ultimate test. You've got a team that hasn't had that much time based off playing at Masters, but also they played at Masters. This is the top team coming out of EMEA, even if they didn't win. And we'll have to wait and see if they're going to be able to reset, recover, even with that new player, and come up against Pipson, who, as said, you know the drills have been going on while that break has been on.
Well, before the barriers go up, Tom, split Lotus Haven. That's where we've ended up today. I'll ask you in a moment if you think the veto has favored either team, if someone's coming in feeling that little bit stronger. For now, barriers are up and the game is away. 1:30 on the clock, Vitality on the attack side, and already a lot of presence towards this A side. In fact, Durka's gone in with the spike, I believe, going for the plant now after that pick, and they have got the site wide open, looking for more control though, up towards Heaven, but with a flash in hand, Tix goes down, and the trades go GX's way, at least for now.
Good opportunity for them to get back into this one. Yoru clone throw now. Civo doing well to find one back and give them that extra advantage. Even still though, Cloud lurking in from behind. He's been spotted though. That's all the information that they need. Civo's going to go running into the smoke. Wanted to try and take that fight versus Cloud. But now in the post, it's going to become so difficult to clear that remaining player of Durka, already wrapping all the way back round into position for exactly where the plant is in. And in fact, he's managed to bait the steps enough for him to let go of that diffusal, knowing that Cloud is not going to be on it, waiting for that additional tap. The time is too far gone, and well, it's just going to be the ego peak at the end to close out the round.
Well, that is a beautiful start for Durka. He opens and closes the round, playing with the time in the 1v1. The opener here, straight into the site. Teammates flooding through main, but it was all down to Durka. If he falls, spikes on the floor, and problems can come from there. But instead, it's a nice, easy finish, if you want to call it that. A couple shots from up in Heaven that put them across the line. That's a 1-0 start for Team Vitality. And now we've jumped right into a tech pause. This works out well for me, Tom. Looking at the veto and how we've ended up, split Lotus Haven. Do you think this is going to favor either of these teams, or is it all up in the air?
It's difficult because going into this match, obviously you're going to favor Vitality. Like, I think that GX have always been that sort of middle of the pack team, like we saw a couple of years ago, being able to slightly move themselves forward, getting to like a champ's position, but last year being fairly underwhelming. I think they've got the players to make this one competitive. I don't think this is going to be a whitewash, an easy win, like a dominant performance, but looking at the maps that have come up, okay, sure, you saw some weaknesses from Vitality when they played against the best of the best, like losing a map to the likes of T1, but then they beat a DRX. Like, they've played the best of the best at this map and been able to show it. The same for the next. They looked incredibly good on Lotus. So I do think that I'm always going to come into a match like this and favor Vitality because of the caliber of players, because of how they performed recently at a Masters, and because we haven't seen that much from GX. But they are just one of those teams that no matter what form they're in, I always put a roster of these 5 players as a dark horse. Like, they could easily go on a run, make this group really interesting as if it isn't already, and maybe steal a map. Do I think they can win it? Well, they're going to have to be on a different level to where they were at kickoff.
Okay.
They've had the time.
So steal a map at expectation, perhaps, but taking the series, that will be an exception to the rule for GX. coming in. I mean, we've already seen Clouds popping off, but losing out on the pistol here, Vitality's map pick, it would have been a nice start, but very, very early days still. We get that tech pause out of the way as the players mount the stage. Now, I think the thing for Vitality is, you know, you talk about that turnaround time, going to a Masters event, it takes out that month-long preparation. You're playing on old patch, you're having to run it down with some of the best teams in the world, and the people at home, well, they ain't got much else to do but practice themselves and watch what you've been up to. And I think changing your identity in that short turnaround once you touch back home, especially we've had this conversation before, some teams have said that they feel like the deeper your run, the more at a disadvantage you are coming in. I think KC previously as an example in Madrid, it definitely causes, well, a lot of new challenges. It's not that you can't overcome them, but most players won't have experienced coming in on that kind of a back foot of preparation. The thing is, though, with Vitality, not just in terms of the support staff that they have, I remember seeing them and Liquid down on the stage. Rob, the manager, was saying some, or GM, what was his official title? He told me earlier, I can't remember.
I think he likes to be referred to as King.
King, yeah. King of Vitality. Rob, he was down there. Him and Eamon from Liquid were going back and forth about the support staff, the difference in the background, right? Vitality bring a team with their team. Yeah. And so if there is someone that's going to be able to tackle that quick turnaround and the challenges that come along with it, I'd expect it to be a squad like Vitality, not just because of the individuals that are on the server, but also, like I said, because of the support staff they've got, because of the depth that they bring to this kind of an environment.
I'll also say as well, I think it depends on the team. Like, there's certain teams that I think after you go to an international need a break. Like, maybe if you've got a trophy or two under your belt, or maybe if you're in a scenario where you just get burnt out a little bit.
Fnatic have been on break for a while now.
It's vile. But you look at someone like Durka. What is Durka doing in his spare time? He's streaming ranked. So it's like, it's like the first thing I saw when like Waylay came out was just Durka just playing Waylay. Like that was what he was doing with his day. So it's like, yeah, there are teams that you go, okay, it's important to have a break, it's important to have some rest. But if it so happens that your players, when they rest, just play Valorant all day, you are going to have a leg up on other players. It's just how much you grind the game. And that's where I do think that this team is always going to be fantastic, because you just have those players who are grinders, who are going to sit there all day long playing and finding out new nerdy little tech. And then they brought in a young gun from the tier 2, who those are the people who want this more than anyone. They've just got their spot, and you know when it's Vitality, hey, they had Trex. They didn't need to make a change from the outside. Like, guy was incredible on the server. He's always been fantastic. They are looking to be the best of the best. So for Civo, this is an opportunity, and he needs to grasp it.
Absolutely, with both hands, and no doubt he will. From what we saw of him over in Challengers, he was drawing our eye, even on a support.
It's funny because to this role, we've got the little like transition of fire, but the fire has been put out, it seems.
There we go. We're getting poetic today, Tom. Love to see it.
And now the red comes back.
We want more of that from Tom. Give him the time. Well, 1-0 for Vitality. They started out winning the pistol. Durka opened and shut the round. And now GX, well, they don't look to fight back. It's a very weak buy. There's some Sheriffs here. Potential. I suppose a lot of this will come down to early map
Cloud
control.
with the Sheriff.
Playing for those orbs. Yeah, Cloud with the Sheriff. Sure, he's already got 3 kills, but it's too big of an ask, surely.
Okay.
Portal closed.
They're forced back by some of that early utility. Well, it wasn't.
Purple with the Sheriff, didn't you?
Yeah.
You said that, I heard you.
Yeah, close enough. Similar place, though, you know. I actually do really like him playing the Teo as well. Like, him having a more aggressive role within the team. Like, there was a world where, if you think back to when Cloud was on Na'Vi, yes, Cloud was on Na'Vi, for those of you who've only been here a couple of years, he played the Duelist at times. And his Neon was nasty. So giving him an initiator with aggressive utility and a chance to be a bit more brawly, I think that might be his calling, which is something else he does as well.
What I really like here from GX is the opening pick doesn't result in them stagnating late into the round. With these weaknesses, you want to group up, use the numbers, and we didn't see that at the start. It was map control, look for orbs, and see what happens. Well, Purple got his orb on A, rotated around to the B site, and he's ready for the fight. The flash, good. And he's down and out of the round for now, but he has teammates. And this is where the numbers come into it, swinging in with weaker weapons, but overwhelming with the numbers. It's down to the new gun, and he's gonna find it. Keeping Vitality on the straight and narrow, but it has to be a Red Bull clutch for Civo to put 2-0 on the board.
It's not a bad start. It's not a comfortable round whatsoever. You're not going to sit here and smile if you're anyone else as a Vitality fan looking going, ooh, okay, that was a little bit dicey, but for Civo, these are the sort of confidence-building rounds, like getting your team a clutch that was pretty well needed, if I'm honest.
Oh, yeah.
Come on for GX. It's not a bad round whatsoever. Sure, it's frustrating that they don't take it over the line, but they are now going to invest back into those rifles and have a chance to do some real damage, because there are a few extra guns being brought back up here by Vitality.
Yeah, well, I mean, we came into the last round saying that GX weren't looking to fight back, and, well, it seems I was very wrong about that. Like you said, though, great start for Civo. You're coming in thinking, you know, you want to have impact, and, well, you certainly did. That blind catches Durka, but he still wins the fight. I don't think that even caught West Side. It didn't, actually. You can see. That's a remarkable fight. We saw the same play in the pistol round, but doing it here, Tom, in a round like this with a rifle as well. It's audacious, but it's worked out in Purpo. Well, he's taking a leaf out of his book, trying to retake a side, I should say, but Vitality have gone back to main, fought up into heaven now, and they've got free space for a B rotate.
GX have got their whole team committed to A. Every single player is currently sat within that site. That is one of the quickest rotations I think we've ever seen from a team. But I think they're starting to realize Tomazi will be, well, basically the one defender. This is looking like a team that's gambled while having the low buy. GX are the ones that have the guns.
Normally we talk about these rounds as a pump fake, you know, you pretend to throw it and then maybe they think you did. They threw a fake ball this round. The A site was gone, overrun, boots on the ground, back in elbow, and then they've rotated into heaven. Now granted, been slow since then, but that might even work out in their favor. It all depends on how Tomazi holds this B site. He's isolated, but 12 seconds left. Caught with the paranoia. Bought himself a little bit of time. TP's backside as well, but they've caught him. Safe's looking the right way in heavy traffic, and that gets a plant for Vitality.
Civo, knowing that staying alive is far more important, and when you've got a player like Dirk, you don't need to be getting aggressive. He'll do that job for you. And more for the remaining two of GX. Yeah, it does start to question whether or not this fight is worthwhile. I'm just going to try and fall off this, of course, but Civo, this really is a chance to just do some extra damage. He's expecting players to still be within heaven. They have fallen back completely and just looked to save, but all in all, a fantastic round from Vitality, but it does scream a few danger signs for me that GX was so heavy in that rotation. Like, they are sure there was quite a lot committed. Obviously, Durka was within the site before they fell all the way back, but to basically go all into that manner and have no clue on the other side of the map other than, okay, can Tomazi stop their whole team? It's a little worrying. That's just the start. And he couldn't move backwards because they'd also put the salvo on the board.
And it is genuinely fish in a barrel at that point. You might be blind, but where's he going to go? Left and right? And it's kind of tough in that little narrow alleyway. A 3-0 start for Vitality. And I agree with you. GX going for that rotation, it's not a good sign from our perspective, but God, I can understand it from theirs. It's the exact same thing that happened to them 2 rounds ago. You think this is the pistol. He's also found the pick. So even for most teams, if you're going to go, okay, let's go in, let's fake it, and then either you TP out, or if you die, we'll just rotate anyways. When you get that kill, that's often going to be them going, oh, okay, maybe we just commit. Maybe we just finish the strat now. The dominoes are already falling, and these mistakes happen. GX would have been ready for that, but instead, they fought tooth and nail for a site that was wide open.
So sad that Pipson doesn't have his outfit from the video the other day. Have you
I have, yeah. The Demon Slayer
intro.
Get up. They were looking good.
I think that's honestly the best Pipson's ever looked. I think he should bring it back full time.
I'm not sure he'd agree with you on that.
He definitely doesn't. He responded to the tweet saying he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
But he was very clear with the fact that I think he said something along the lines of, no, but maybe we can make some sort of deal. That was not to me. That was to a staff member at GX. But
okay.
Hey, maybe if they qualify to champions.
But you're here to let him know today that you're down to make a deal with him too.
For sure.
Get him in that costume. I understand it. 3-0 for Vitality. It's been a good start. GX don't really have a lot to battle with, but they made it work with less, or very nearly. Starting off with the aggression on Purpo, one of the rifles that they have, looking for A main control. It's sent Vitality scurrying in the other direction. There'll be no fake to the back of A, and there'll be no Durka for the late round either. He gets picked off in a trade for mid control. It might leave Vitality worse for wear without their Yoru.
I think there was a trip just behind the smoke. So I think he's walked directly into that, and it was revealed. There's a very, very easy kill for the defensive side. Now, they've kept on to some of this aggression. Obviously, you have to take gambles in a round where you don't really have too much to play with. I don't believe there's any way to get out of this, though. Maybe a stun, hoping to come through, but no, it's just a raw fight. And well, you give that to any player on Vitality, there's a good chance they win it.
Running ahead of the Aftershock, it's a dangerous game. Kicks, punishes runner, and now the A site is overtaken, and it looks like the round is locked in. Beautiful shots from Les to close it out, 4-0, and yes, there were some dangers here. GX brought them to the table, but they were swept away with a 4-0 start, with a couple dangers for Vitality, but those treacherous waters navigated expertly. GX is going to start to feel the pressure to put a round on the board fairly soon, or at least have more control over how the round is going. It feels like we're playing Vitality's game.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I don't mind a lot of these initial setups that we're seeing from GX, like to try and, okay, I'm going to use the salvos early in the round, like start that timer to get them back for any sort of retake or delay. But with those aggressive pushes not working out and ultimately them being shut down later, I was going to say maybe be wary whether or not they continue to go for it. The answer is no, and okay. Holding onto the rope with his butt cheeks, Durka's going to find that kill.
Yeah, he had surprisingly good stabilization on that spray, I have to say. Expected a bit more recoil in every direction. 4-0 is Vitality's score, but we're looking for 5. Listen, you know what I said. GX, 3 rifles left to try to hold strong, and it seems like they're going to put all their eggs in one basket. That basket is the B site, and it looks like A is the one being taken. So for Vitality at that point, when Spike goes on the floor, possibly even safe to plant it, getting the ultimate online that pretty much locks in the round. I really wouldn't be surprised. CGX just call for the save at that point. 5-0 down. Economy, if they lose these rifles, will be unrecoverable moving into the next, and really just not in a pretty position for early days on Vitality's pick.
Spike planted.
Oh no, yeah, especially with you getting that defensive side start, a lot of the time you are going to see if there's a dominant half, that's where those rounds are racked up. But for now, at least, this has looked fairly comfortable. Right? As said, like any of that aggression has been kind of shut down, and it seems very all in, almost as if like, okay, we're expecting to meet some resistance, but this more sort of passive hold in the first like 15 seconds really works. Because again, like if you don't have depth to what you're doing with the Teo utility, it does become fairly telegraphed. So, okay, they're going to use them immediately because they want to get them back later in the round. So if we just wait more passively, they're probably just going to keep pushing. And that's what's happened. Like there was the last round, the same thing happened outside of A, and then they re-hit it later in the round. All they had to do was clear Purpo. This round, I think it was just a passive Suez player. It's like, okay, you've pushed. Oh, that's rough.
That was a good try, though. He tried to TP with the timing, so Safe would be looking the other way. It very nearly worked out. The Safe was certain. Why would he TP into the salvos? But then we kind of realized, yeah, why would he TP into the salvos? He died.
Yeah.
So
they nerfed the damage a little bit.
Oh, no! He went forward. I'm not certain he would have been safe at the back anyways. I
think that might be why. Like, I think he was like, oh, I've got to move.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. Picked the wrong way.
It's not going great. 5-0. Vitality looking like the new player, and potential lack of prep time is affecting them. None.
Or positively, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Just how it seems like they're having a great time. The Civo's had a couple of high-impact rounds. I'm liking the control as well, because a lot of the time you'll see a new player come into a roster and their goal is to like make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
He's been very happy to play these more passive, like, okay, this is my staple player. This is the guy who's not taking massive risks. He's just in a spot and holding down map control. He's been doing a very good job of it so far.
Well, what was it, round 3? He has the Sheriff here in mid. You complimented him for backing off. Him backing off meant that the 2 players in Heaven split into 2 1v1 fights, and Durka took the fight in Heaven without a trade possible on the other side. So even though he didn't get a kill directly, he impacted the fight, and I think just a smart player and finding his reward for it. GX, 1 pick and a couple rifles to play with here. It's definitely far from lost at this point. Ace sight. And usually when we hit 40 seconds on the clock, either Spike is down or a save's being called. GX with some legs to stand on, and they're avoiding a lot of that utility that will come in, obviously with the Armageddon completely overrunning that A site. It's the Heaven hold for GX. It's Cloud. and Westside. Well, Cloud has just gone down to the salvos, but Westside here to save the day. It's one man left on that attacking side. This was looking like a stacked scenario in Vitality's favor, but this has quickly spiraled out of control.
10 seconds left.
A chance potentially to make a name for himself. He's got to try and stick this plant through, otherwise there won't be enough time. And well, it now just comes down to the last couple of kills, trying to bait someone into a fight. Definitely crispy with the aim, but not knowing where Runner will be. He's made it costly, he's made it seem interesting, but ultimately GX, they're now on the board.
Well, now I know why they're calling him Civo. The kid's got skill.
Yeah, that was the thing. He was talking about the pronunciation of his name to
There's a lot of debate.
To King Rob Mulligan.
King Rob, shout out.
And
Long may he reign.
Basically saying that it was Civo, Civo, Civov, or Zywu, depending on what name you like. So he's aiming high. I appreciate that, you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He's shooting for the
You're
stars.
gonna go for broke.
Shooting for the stars. From what we've seen, he doesn't miss much. So let's see how time.
And maybe Serial will go for brokey.
We'll see. We'll see. Deep play towards the spawn. That was just the ultimate rather from Purpo, clearing out that space, being a bit of a recon dart for himself, and pushing that A hold much, much further back. For Vitality, it's not changing the approach of the round. Still very much set on this B site take. We've seen the salvo stun combo be deadly so far. It's caused a lot of problems for the side of GX. Losing Cloud in the previous round, despite the fact that they recovered it, was an advantage that they gave away. They've avoided the early danger, and now it's the scrappy fight on the choke point, and they are winning, passing it with flying colors. The spike is left in the open, even though Durka gets out. He's got to go back in, and in the process, he is mowed down. The last man standing in. We said GX needed to get their hands on the reins pretty soon. Seems like it's mission accomplished.
This is all about how much damage can Les do. Position known. Financially, this team's in an excellent spot, so taking away anything that he can would be massive, but I think definitely a little bit more wary about positions behind, wanting to try and re-spot some of those players could be. If everybody's watching his direction, the chance of him winning some of those fights are slim to none. The fact is, though, I think a really stellar round in general from GX. Like, I think this was much better in terms of how they actually utilized those salvos and alongside it the stun. They basically forced Durka into an incredibly awkward fight, forced him back into a clump with the rest of his team, and then when they actually went to fight, I think there was an excellent stun that came through from Runner, which just made it nigh on impossible from then onwards.
And a lot of this utility being in position towards that B site comes off of the early information they got out of Purpo, chasing a player into their spawn, seeing that that was the Cypher and that there was no one else around. You know it's a lurk, you know likely the hit is coming in towards that B site. Calls were made, boots were on the ground, and the welcoming party and its arms wide open. For Vitality, 5-2. The lead is still theirs. They're up by 3. The attack side rounds are slowing down. Now we see that A main presence fought for in the same way as the first couple rounds. There was great success there, and there almost was here as well. Purpo's just down to 28 HP, and they're having to bring Cloud in to cover that gap now that he can't quite fight through those smokes.
Another early engagement that hasn't gone fantastically for the side of GX, but it's going to be that hard reset. Again, it seems like a lot of early battles are based around those salvos, what sort of positions can be crafted, and just basically delaying as much as possible with utility. The use of the aftershock just to force players back, and it does mean that still this static sort of default, and maybe even some re-aggression. 4 players currently centralized around mid, but it seems like GX are going to break off from this. I am always nervous though when I'm watching Purpo. It feels like a lot of his aggression has just been met with death. Like, we haven't seen a lot of success from him so far.
Or maybe not in this round either with the early tag up, but
that's really nice.
Also on the wrong side of the map, it's the A-side pressure split through mid. Cloud forced out onto the Raptors. If he goes walking back, he's not going to like what he finds there. Vitality, though, they give up that control. leaving less behind, or at least staggered somewhat. With 12 seconds left, they're getting into heaven, and GX have not moved. They've kept the 3-man stack on this side of the map. Durka grabs one, runner down low. They still need to deal with Tamazi, and they do, just in time. That plant will come in with half a second left on the clock. That is a narrow margin. I can't believe they called that rotation.
That's outrageous. Like this reminds me, if you're like an old school CS fan, you could watch Pronax and he would call like the most outrageous thing with like 7 seconds left, but it was like, it's fine because I've got all of my stat. He'll just headshot. That's Durka right there. Just runs in, jumps down, insta headshots the guy, TPs away, and then his teammate just gets the next frag on the re clear. Like that's absurd. Like that was literally half a second off them doing like an old school KC round where we're just calling them melons.
Yeah,
instead, because of the players they have, it's genius.
Risky to say the least, but the reward, I suppose, amplified by it. The fact that GX still had 3 players there, no doubt the hope was after taking heaven. What did we see on round 3? They put a player on site, the whole team was there. So they're thinking, we can rotate.
That's so stupid.
Oh!
That like, if you're Purpo, you just want to alt F4 the game.
we might have a tech pause.
You have to bear in mind as well, the difference between them winning that round was half a second.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't do that, that's a GX round.
Well, also the third player just stays tucked in an extra half a second. As a result, round is over. And unbelievable. The goal from Vitality that stuns caught him. Les is in trouble, and he still got Purpo. Those early engagements really have not been going Purpo's way so far, but this one, I'm pretty sure Les was stunned up on the initial fight. Elsewise, why would he not be around the corner?
Well, also, I think he ran straight past Durka. So even if he had got that kill, he was dead anyway. Durka was in the corner, just sat behind. Like,
you can take a trade in that scenario. Well, I suppose they got it in the end with Durka down.
That's the thing.
Could have been the 2-1.
Of all of the early engagements we've seen, I was about to say it's going well, but now it's going very well. Les has fallen. He's been able to dominate a lot of this A ramp control, be it with the cam set up just to watch if anybody tries to re-clear. Again, they're going to put a lot on one player. It's west side on the other side of the map. The thing is, the last couple of rounds, they've been a lot more split in their defense. It's not been this full gamble like we saw in some of the early rounds. That's why they had those 3 players there towards the end. But the question is, how much can Westside do? He had a fantastic round a couple ago where he was able to hold the line almost individually. I think it's going to have to be the same thing here.
TP committed?
Yep.
It is fully committed. Again, the goal on Vitality right now on Civo to take another. And that leaves Runner on 15 HP. No chance to deny that spike is what I would have said if we didn't switch to see the salvos. They came online just in time. 8 seconds now. Safe catches 1, and they try to deny the plant.
Please tell me we have Tamazi's death.
It doesn't work.
Because you see a player running towards Civo. That's not the player that died. The player that died was Tamazi, who used from the shadows, TP'd in and got insta headshot by a guy I don't think he knew was there. It's this, and then this.
Oh,
That's the kill. That's the kill. He literally TP'd to where his teammate was and gets killed for it. There's pretty much a double set of errors there. Fantastic play by Civo again. And what Tamazi, he's 0 and 8 right now. He's having a real rough time.
Was that even a collat on Runner that took him down so low?
Yes, I think it was.
A collat on the TPing Omen you don't see it every day. But what a game this has been for Vitality so far. This map pick's certainly working out. Their prep is definitely holding up to the task. But for Civo as well, as a new player coming in, the weight of expectation on his shoulders.
He's going to be on the board. 0 kills. There we go.
There we go. Tamazi's got 1. And he'll get out.
Sometimes it takes a judge, you know? Sometimes you need just a cheese kill to get the engines turning again. We'll see. Maybe this can be the start, because that's really unlucky. Like, that last round is really, really unlucky on the timing. I'll say as well, I'm guessing they didn't hear the teleport from Civo, or they just didn't think he would stick it. But that's the thing I'm enjoying, is like, again, a lot of players either come in with something to prove or lacking confidence. He's doing neither.
Not at all. Not at all. And also, like you say, with the something to prove, it's just the fact that he's a smart player. He's made the right calls. We see a lot of cracks in young talent when they come to this level, but Very few showing here, if any, for Civo. There's less opening up onto Purpo. Brings it back to a 4v4 at least. The numbers not looking too bad. And Cloud and Westside, they've got full control up in heaven. The spike will be planted and it's safe up top, looking for a Zolt with one more orb. One kill, one pick. And he's in the game, but he also loses salvos if he dies. There's the ult online, but not for this round. The pressure falls onto Durka's shoulders. He's got the first kill, surely. No, never mind. Westside on low HP. They just wanted to trade him out. They didn't need to. GX, 7-3. The game's far from over.
Yeah, I'd say that's now 2 rounds that you can basically put down to Westside on his own. A couple of 3Ks that have been highly impactful in scenarios where, yeah, I think some of the fights are not necessarily favorable. Like they're going into trades, or in that case, just taking an opening duel.
This should do.
It's something for GX. And that's the thing, like, although there's been a lot of big plays, a lot of big rounds from Vitality, I don't want to say GX have been, like, slaughtered. At least the last, like, 5 or 6 rounds they've been in this map.
Oh, this is
they can get the last couple. This one might just become competitive.
Well, coming into this round, Vitality, a lot of ultimates online already. One going to be put in towards this A site. They want to fight, and they want it to be Purpo leading the charge. He grabs his kill and runners in with the utility for another. The A site crunch early. Just a great read. Vitality have been going for that spot either with a lurker or with the whole team. This time, well, there's a couple players towards middle looking to take that space late, but GX don't want to give them the fights. The advantage is already theirs.
Aftershock used to clear the trip, but not really been a switch up of position. They're happy to play this 3-man crossfire. Let's hold in position. Vitality going to try and go towards the spawn. It's unorthodox. It's not expected by anyone other than Westside, who's probably the exact man you'd want in this sort of position. First shot, easy does it. Looking for a little more, won't find it. But with the paranoia through and players completely split, 40 seconds left now for them to try and find something.
Well, they've got to win 2 2v2s essentially. No matter where they go, there's bodies waiting for them. Time is against them.
30 seconds left.
Oh, just now they've managed to find an isolated fight with the utility that was being lined up. The salvos avoided in the site being taken. Cloud stomps his way in. They heard him surely move towards the site, but do they expect the close corner? No, they don't. It's an easy pick, but Kix gets his third. The plant will be the end of him surely. They're waiting for it. No, he gets the spike down. I was waiting for Tamazi to round the corner. Now Kix is waiting for exactly that. They're lined up, but the first is his. The fourth of the round and the ace on the cards. It's only Purpo. A tough game so far. Fake TP out his steps, give him away, and Kix is posted on the angle. He only catches the shoulder. The Rolling Thunder, though, still online, will buy him all the time he needs. He's seen the ankle, and he'll rip his shoulders off. It's Kix with an ace to put Vitality miles into the lead.
Well, it only took 11 rounds for Kix to put the first ace of stage 1 onto the board. I think there'd be quite a lot of people who would have bet that it would be a Vitality player to do it, but I don't know if they would have necessarily bet that it would be Kix, but this is the problem. Like, again, I feel like there've been moments, plenty of moments, where you'd look at this game and go, okay, GX are in it. They're competitive. They're fighting for these rounds. And then a guy who was on 2 kills prior to this round aces your team, and, well, I think it all goes out the window.
Normally, if you see a clutch like that, it's a lot of 1v1s, and I know in the end, those 2 players, they were isolated. There was like a 2-second window that was perfectly exploited to catch that fight. But most of the others were looking even playing field. I think second and third it was that he found on the site. They traded perfectly. The timing was there, but Kix just knew he was already aiming at the second angle. 8-3, 1 round left in the half, and GX are coming in with next to nothing. A lot of weaknesses, but ults, well, the ult that they have, Runner might be able to claim them some space towards the site. Whichever site they decide to go for, but it looks like it's going to be sent in straight to middle. GX don't get much for that, really.
Side again. A lot of the rounds they won have been down to him. Cloud was just walked into the open, maybe not expecting anybody to be there. That's a lot of utility for Westside to try and escape. Still standing, gets 2 for 1. Again, he seems to bring them back when it looks like there's no hope. Safe, though, has put another in the grave, and you can already see these lurks. Look at where Civo is currently standing. He is waiting behind them. Tamazi, another fight that he's never going to get the chance to take. And while we've just seen an ace from one side, it needs to be another for Westside, and he is going to find absolutely nothing.
What a masterclass this first half has been. Attack side on split. Many people will complain about the challenges here, but it's nothing but triumph for Vitality. Everything has been working out for them. A couple bumps in the road, but the suspension's held strong. We'll see if they can continue this win streak in the second half after the break. Welcome back, folks. It's time to dive into the second half and really sink our teeth into it. And certainly that will be the conversation for GX. They've come out of the first with 3 rounds on the board, but there were some moments where it seemed like there was hope. Really, though, it felt like Vitality were the ones dictating the flow and the pace of this game. On the attack side of their map pick, sure, that may be acceptable. Let's see if GX can have a little bit more to say now that they're on their attack.
Yeah, you could see that they definitely had a lot of ideas, a lot of set plans, and most of it seemed to come down to like some good calls and, well, the individuals that we know and love on the Vitality side. Now, as you said, GX getting to dictate the pace a little bit more, although I still expect to see quite a bit of aggression out from this defensive side already. Some utility expended. West side, he seems to have the right idea. A great start to the round, Durka gone. And an advantage for GX.
Well, he was the one to open and shut the first pistol round, and the door is shut firmly in his face. 5v4 to start with, and Purpo, well, he's looking to do exactly the same as was done to them. Go in for that aggressive TP, take control over the site, and the Cavalry follows suit. He's been spotted. Cam up above revealed him. Last just firing into the dark, and that flash was perfect. Civo, though, manages to at least find 2. It's doable, it's difficult, and he almost makes it look possible, but not to be. GX with a pistol that is very much needed, and the climb back can commence here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, getting that under their belt is so important. Like, otherwise, this map is done. I think even if they don't manage to turn this building into what will be Lotus, which, as said, you're looking back to some of the more recent results, is a pretty decent map over on the other side as well. Good job! You saw a strong showing when they faced off against T1 and Liquid, and then it was a close defeat to G2, who, well, we all look at as one of the best in the world right now. Clearly, GX put the work in. That's not the start they were looking for, though. Stunned up in the early seconds. Tomazi also tagged desperately low. Like, this is starting to look very worrying. Already going in for a little bit more safe with the Classic. Is more deadly than most people running whatever gun you like. That is now another low player. And bear in mind, Mitch, this was just Classics. They didn't invest into a Sheriff or 2 or a few extra pieces. This is literally 5 Classics.
And already, look at the plan on the other side. For GX, 2 players are running away, taking the spike elsewhere. They'll have to cross mid, but again, it's just a Classic holding them. The real concern is that West side is left alone. If he goes down, there's 3 weapons to be recovered. I'm not sure of what of those are actually rifles. One certainly finds the first. They know there's a target there. Civo's the one to turn his attention in that direction. He's being pincered though. They're coming from both sides. GX have played this well. They've won their fights. And now a 3v2 up against weaker weapons. Classics for now. Plant that should be secured.
See Kicks is looking if there's anything to be had. I'm guessing that there isn't, and while Durka's shenanigans will meet the same fate, it was incredibly dangerous, but I like the fact that GX slowed down. They didn't overface, they didn't overreact, they didn't go looking for crazy fights to try and turn the tide. They were patient. That patience has been rewarded. Speaking of it, Kicks is going to try and be patient himself, knowing that the chances of winning this round now fairly slim. He might be able to take a gun.
In worst case, you can just go down to that spike, but the damage is tempting. No steps are heard moving right towards him. Lands to the slaughter, perhaps. The stun is good. It's great. In fact, they have an idea that this is a danger zone, and it's cleared by West Side. Very well done, considering in that 3v5?
They will scurry.
You know, there was one player isolated, surrounded by classics. That can easily spiral out of control. A retrieved Bulldog, and who knows where we go from there. But they've managed to put that one together, 9-5. The gap is slowly closing in on Team Vitality.
Yeah, this is the way you kind of expect that things will change a little bit. Only got yourself those saved over guns from the prior, that maybe they can throw a little bit extra in for Tamazi, but he's going to be down in the dumps. And that's the thing, I want to see if he can have a resurgence going into this attack side. I think a lot of the time the fights he was taking, we saw the sort of rundown on him isolated on one side of the map, or when you're trying to teleport and you get shot in the head. Sometimes it's a little bit unlucky, but if he can pick it back up, they're not out of this map just yet. It's just whether or not there's going to be a complete tide change. And as I said, like when you have Safe and Durka playing that sort of potential aggression, Safe's been having a great game, Durka's been having his moments, and well, we've already seen that there isn't really a missing piece right now. And then sort of the alternative is either you're met with that aggression, can you win versus two of the best players in the whole region, or do you walk into Less's Cypher setup? Both bad options.
There's no easy choice there. No easy road.
It's like, do you want to eat cat food or dog food? So I'd rather eat neither, but I don't have that choice.
Dog food's generally dry.
I don't know why you're actually thinking about it. It was more of an analogy rather than a question. I don't want to know your answer. Because weirdly, you've probably tried both.
No. I have managed to hold off on that urge for a long time now, Tom. But this question,
I don't want to cook dinner. That dog food's looking pretty.
Little can opener, it's all good. Well, opening duel for Civo. He has managed to take Purpo out of the action at Yoru. And it caused a lot of annoyances as we saw in the first half, but not this time around. Safe, very low on HP. It's an easy pickup. West Side having a hell of a game so far. GX have been struggling in that first half, but he was a standout performer in it. And he may just carve a path towards the site for GX this time around. That pick and vent sends them to the A site, sends them towards Less. Perhaps with this extra element of control, they'll be brave enough to take on this setup, take on this man already being caught by a trap. They know he's close. Less smells the blood in the water, and he calls in for Durka to help him out. Reef up though, oh now it's being spotted. Runner, you better get running. Kicks, takes him down, and Spike is there as a result. It's West Side trying to cleave back some element of control as Cloud takes over the site. They'll get a plant out of this and a man advantage.
Kicks so desperately low. Civo not much better off. They're going for the element of surprise, but that element has completely gone. Another triple kill for Westside. I feel like he almost has as many as they have rounds at this point, the amount that he is being able to win them. I will say, though, I think Runner was a little bit hard done by, because I think his spam lit 2 players to like sub 20 HP and just didn't get either of the kills.
Well, it'll show up on his ACS, I suppose.
Like, that was him getting 5 HP, but 1 down to 5.
And from this point, GX felt like they were trying to claw their way back into this, but now, well, the ground's looking a bit more even. The uphill battle comes a bit more gentle stroll. Durka's straight down mid onto Cloud. It's not a great start. This is a low buy for Vitality, and they did a lot with the classics. Now they've got full sheriffs and a couple shields floating around. It's a lot more dangerous for GX to face off against in those 1v1 fights, as Cloud just found out from behind a wall.
Also, just look at the position of Civo. Like, it's a deep push into mid. Point to B, sorry. And he's already going to win one of them. Okay, he doesn't get out of there, but he's bought time. Now they could throw the salvos in, delay that a little bit further. And that's the thing. In these sort of rounds, okay, those cheeky plays are going to be great, but it depends how much you can burn off that clock. Okay, at the moment, we're at 50 seconds. But you look at the position of these attacking players, they don't have any ground.
And yeah, they got to fight for it somewhat blindly up against Pistols, playing into Vitality's hands, but the clock is forcing that play. The B site seems to be the target. They know Cypher's been on A. It's a little easier. They don't have that Sentinel util waiting. Flash from Runner, hopefully get them up to heaven. The delay's been good. We've got 25 seconds left. Vitality rotating players in. Salvos just came online for Safe as well. This is a big deal that GX, with 15, they gotta go. We gotta make it to the site. They've got delay utility. You've got to run through a Cypher setup. You've got a player pushed in on main. 8 seconds left. This is outrageous. Vitality may have pushed the boat out when it came to timing, but this, the blatant disregard for the clock at the top of their screen, they'll get their kills. But Vitality won that with pistols, and they didn't even have to use them for the most part. Oh, that one's going to be talked about in the VOD review.
The pay save card thrifty. But yeah, this was exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the round. It's when it comes down to those late round decisions. Like, okay, you lose some of those early fights, you lose some map control, you lose some positioning, and we've seen it before, they just pause. But last time, you saw Vitality, okay, they had the need to get aggressive. Like, they were playing with literal classics. In this scenario, they had all of their utility. They had everything still online, and that's where you need to force them into making some of those fights. Instead, well, you've given them around, you've gifted them around. And now they come in with a buy.
The safe must have been sat. They're going to have salvos, salvos. They didn't need them. They didn't need them. Just hold the cross and pop a stun. Beautiful stuff from Vitality in terms of patience. Westside's
So
coming in
good.
with a fire in his belly after that last round. He's been dropped though. Tamazi tries to make the sneaky play up close. He's giving it away. Never mind. They don't turn in time. And the quick double answered back by Safe doesn't even put Vitality on the forefront. In fact, with him falling, this one's looking done. A 3-piece needed by Civo on the way back through. He's coming from heaven, and he's up against a strong setup. It stuns, flashes. Every player has something. In fact, 2 stuns, 2 flashes. They've got everything they could possibly want to work with. For Civo, perhaps this round is already out of his hands. Unless he gets an opportunity gifted very soon. Could just be a game of playing those exits, and I think that's what he's going for.
I think also in this scenario, the money is actually a bit more important. Having his weapon, making sure that that's not removed, have something to fight with going into the next, so making it a little bit more costly, but really good recovery from GX. I think that last round is enough to shatter your mental in a lot of positions, but we didn't see a pause, we didn't see them slow things down, they just went right back to what they were doing. And even seeing a little bit from Tamazi. As I said, like, it's not just him and Purpo. I think Purpo, I don't want to say he's lost every single opening duel, but I want to say he's lost like a solid 70%. Like, it's been... Enjoy! Shouting at the new guy. He's just first time on the stage.
For that,
it's just, all right. Cloud, a little bit toxic, but you know, I'm here for it. 10-7. I think this is a pause. Yeah, it's going the other way. So just as we thought maybe there was an opportunity for GX to call a pause, that is an immediate response from the Vitality camp. Because again, you're talking about, what, a 9-3 half. There were a lot of clutches. There were a lot of big moments that went their way that could have very easily made it a lot closer. But now we're not seeing those as much. And that starts to worry, because the difference now down to just 3. GX, it seems like, well, I'd say some of their players are starting to come alive. One of their players has been alive the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Westside is having a game, and that's the thing. Obviously, you're going to look at Civo as that, he's the new kid on the block. He's the guy coming from Tier 2 into Tier 1. Bear in mind, Westside's only played, what, like 3 or 4 games in the Tier 1 setting at kickoff. Then he was right back out to practicing again.
I think it was 3, yeah.
The fact that they're coming in here and he's looking this good, this is what we were sort of promised. And he had glimpses at kickoff, but not to this degree.
I'm not wrong as well. GX's opening game was the BBL, right? Where we sort of way underestimated BBL's power level. Like, he's had a rough start over at that level. And right now, 22-11. First half, he was a standout. Second half, hasn't really changed much. It's good to see Westside on this form. And GX, well, they get a good opportunity on the back of it. They're just down by 3. Vitality of weak weapons. I mean, maybe the biggest enemy for GX will be the clock. Certainly was last time this happened. And this time, of course, the rifle save for Civo gives them an opportunity. And a few ultimates as well in play. Looking at Safe in particular, there's dangers, and the biggest one has now been dealt with.
Time to jump.
Oh, Durka in the corner. Shooting out the utility. That was enough to give the game away. Kicks here, only with an SMG, and well, you'd have to hope for a miracle at this point. Unless 1v5 on a classic. I like this, even a little bit of orb management. Just gonna get Purpo ever closer to that ultimate, this time not earning it via just deaths.
We both come in sort of a mood today.
You know,
ready to go.
It's just it's day one. If you don't come in how you're going to continue throughout the year, a little bit toxic, then what's the point?
No punches pulled. Like I'm playing Viper over here. It's very toxic in the caster booth. 10-8, and yes, GX climbing their way back. Ults online for both teams. It could be a chaotic game. I do like, as you said, the idea to give these orbs to Purpo. Having that ultimate online here for the attack side, coming into a big round as well, where there's lots of dangers on that Vitality side. They can obviously use this as a wayfinder. This is exactly what Durka did. It allowed them to sell fakes. It allowed them to sniff out the dangers ahead of time. One of those dangers in this round, hopefully, will be seen. No, they broke the drone on its way up. The fact that Durka's tucked in that corner is nasty. But he always has a way out.
Even all the way back to the pistol round, they were predicting him to be there. Westside pretty much pre-fired him, so I don't think they're going to be caught off by too many of these shenanigans. Stun through, I like it. Good opportunity, even with the salvo. That's wonderful. Fantastic opener onto Kix, who's been really working with the squad with that supportive utility. Past the salvos, they'll go. Pop flash into the back of the site, and even throwing out that Teo ultimate, which could cause some issues for Cloud. He's been caught.
Down B.
Now Safe might meet the same fate. Never mind, it's a big play on backside. A shutdown from Civo again with the 3-piece under his belt. 11 on the board for Vitality. You know, we talk a big game about nerves on that stage, especially when it's your first time joining a team already who have quite the record starting out this year. And it doesn't look like there is any pressure on this man. Unbelievable performance for a debut, and look, it's not over yet, but they are on the right path from what we're seeing here.
You're 2 kills off Safe, and you're 7 kills above Durka. Debut doesn't go better. Like, I'll be
no, it really doesn't.
I'm not joking. She's 7 kills above the best player in the league. You know, it's gone pretty well, but they're going to want to close this map out. Of course, this is their choice. It's where they wanted the game to be, and I think GX have definitely made this maybe a little bit more competitive than we would have expected after the first half. Trouble for Purpo, who's being hit with so many pieces of utility, but actually, it's the attack side to come out on top. Civo caught out. See where GX can take this. They've been pretty good at bouncing back. Kicks definitely had some struggles in the last round with the utility combo, but this is what GX have been doing a lot. It's just this find something, pause. Basically playing the default to as much as you can see it. Again, just patiently waiting, but that clock is ticking and they've been seen.
35. Luckily, there's presumably not going to be a huge change in direction, but they haven't got the ground they need just yet to commit. Pick has to be found. Durka uses his flash just to slow down the game a little bit. Same thing from Kix. They know bleeding the clock is the main goal, but Purpo comes up huge. If those players are still alive at this stage, the round is under a lot of threat, but instead, a 5v2. What should be an easy cleanup from this point forward. In fact, I see them turn their back on the site. It looks like Vitality are making what, looking at their economy, is the right call. Getting out of here, saving those weapons for the next round.
Finances have not been bolstered at all throughout this defensive half. Well, you have to bear in mind, they've only had 2 rounds. Like, it was a 9-3 attack. And then from the second half, it has been blips in what has been a majority GX victory. And again, at times it feels like GX overplaying their hand, like running out of time, or in the last round trying to flash through the smoke, and there were players on the other side of it. Got them. For now, though, it's all about holding on to those guns, and that's exactly what they'll do. GX now just 2 within. And again, this is Vitality's map choice, a map where, if you look at that first half, they were having fun, they were thriving, and now it does seem like they're struggling a bit.
A strange face to split we're seeing in this matchup. Nothing but attacker-sided rounds being claimed, and even looking at GX, a lot of the things that were going wrong for them in that first half, Purpo was just being shut down every time they looked for opening aggression. That's a bad sign. When you move onto your attack side of split, you really need to be finding your early round aggression successfully, and I think the recovery from that point has been remarkable, as evidenced by the fact that he's just taken down Durka in another opening duel. That didn't happen in the first half at all, I think.
I feel like Durka is meeting the exact same problem, though. It's these patient defaults that GX are running, the same that Vitality were doing, a slow-paced, okay, let's wait out some of that early U2 that we know is coming, and Durka's trying to pop flash himself into those angles where there are 4 people waiting. And they're so prepared, like I said, when he was playing on the edge of that box, that has been cleared every single time by GX. They've been methodical in their approach to dealing with positions he likes to play. Shutting him out of the game is something teams rarely are able to do, but they have been able to do it. And you look at what they're doing with all their utility here, they are making it very difficult for players to make a play.
Online here for the side of Vitality. Breach putting in the rolling thunder, but they're inside the smoke with a shorty in hand. Purple, it's nasty, but the shot doesn't land. And now Vitality flood in through the gates, left wide open by that pick. Oh, Runner's even blind in the corner, caught by the util and forced into the open. Vitality, there were struggles here, and it seemed like GX were hot on their heels, but now they've landed all the way at the finish line. Just one more step, and they can move on to Lotus.
Yeah, a big rolling thunder. Even though it needed to be preceded by another stun, it definitely helped them out with clearing out the back of the site. And that's the rounds that we've seen them win. I think other than the one where we saw the GX run out of time, it was using that Armageddon on the back of the site to force them into awkward fights. I think when Vitality have done that, they've been able to take some fairly comfortable rounds. Now though, just looking at one, they are slightly favored when it comes to that ultimate economy. I say slightly, but there we go, already. A fantastic utility damage. Purpo left within inches of his life, and well, eventually the job just gets done. Safe, less, combining. As Runner and Cloud are left to try and pick up what is a shattered vase of a round.
Now, if I see Westside still alive here, I'll give him 50-50 odds. But GX, well, Cloud tagged up, Cloud dealt with. In fact, it's all on to Runner. Vitality, they had a huge lead. They stumbled, but they didn't trip and fall. Right back onto their feet. Runner has managed to slip up behind them. He's got 2 kills lined up in front of him, and he'll connect those nicely. But still, another 2 to go. The spike to be retrieved, and utility to fight through. Kix has everything. With 35 seconds on the clock, there's still a paranoia on Civo, and no doubt the fault line to come through soon for Kix. Runner, he has his work cut out for him.
If any of these closer angles are free to walk past, 20 seconds left to try and make some sort of move, make some sort of play, and they're playing on this sort of elevated angle. Both players in the corner, but the paranoia is going to make things awkward. The reposition might make it difficult for him to take these fights. And more Vitality when it comes to 2 players peeking at the same time. They get it spot on.
A wonderful display from Vitality here on map 1, commanding the first half, but a bit more of a battle in the second. For GX, it's a good sign with their map pick of Lotus up next. For now, though, we're off to a break.
God bless you. That was funny. But can you tell the crowd to quiet down a bit? That's the rank demon right there.
Bro, the crowd went wild. What the?
Yeah, the crowd is...
Red Bull gives you wings.